What if the pain you spent years hiding could become the very thing that helps someone else heal? Today's guest shows how that's possible. Hey, everybody, I'm Steven Schauer, and welcome to Stories Sustain Us, where we are inspiring action through the power of storytelling. In today's episode, I sit down with my friend Bryant Pugh, who shares his remarkable journey from trauma, addiction, and depression to becoming a mental health leader, artist, educator, and advocate. Bryant opens up what it was like to feel broken on the inside while trying to appear fine on the outside, and how that quiet suffering eventually became too heavy to carry alone. But rather than being consumed by it, Bryant sought out connection and found healing through authentic peer support, creative expression, and sharing his story with others. From founding multiple mental health arts collectives to training justice-involved individuals across New York State, Bryant has dedicated his life to reminding others that their experiences, no matter how painful, have value, purpose, and power. You'll hear how art helped Bryant process trauma, how teaching gave him a path back to self-worth, and how peer support offers an alternative, human-centered approach to mental health that says, you're not broken, you're human. But before we dive in, here's a little bit more about Bryant. Bryant Pugh is a director of statewide training at the Mental Health Empowerment Project, where he creates transformative training opportunities and community learning spaces that help people find their voice, power, and potential. Rooted in the principles of authentic peer support, Bryant's work centers mutual relationships, lived experience, and the healing power of connection. He believes each person has the right to lead their own journey, and he's made it his mission to support that. Bryant is also a passionate advocate for mental health expression through the arts. He's founded mental health arts collectives in Vermont and Virginia, and is currently developing a third in Buffalo, New York. These projects elevate people not by diagnosis or label, but by their creativity and humanity as artists first. With a BA in theater performance and an MFA in theater pedagogy from Virginia Commonwealth University, Bryant blends the worlds of art, education, and empowerment. He's taught at both VCU and the University at Buffalo, and previously developed a course titled Speaking Your Truth. He is also a professional abstract artist, painting from his home studio in Buffalo, where he continues to grow alongside his wife Marissa and their daughter Sunny Jen. With more than 22 years of lived experience in recovery and mental health, Bryant brings extraordinary perspective, compassion, and wisdom to everything he does. He also holds a belief that resonates deeply with this show, that the term mental illness can be limiting, and that all of us, regardless of labels, deserve to be seen with dignity, compassion, and understanding. So if you've ever struggled to feel whole, if you've ever wondered whether your story matters, or if you're simply looking for a little more light in the world, you're in the right place. Let's get into it with my friend Bryant Pugh here on Stories Sustain Us, where we're inspiring action through the power of storytelling. Bryant, good morning, my friend. How are you doing? Welcome to Stories Sustain Us. Yeah, thanks for joining me, man. I mentioned in the opening introduction to you that you and I have known each other for a while, so it's good to see you. Tell everybody I'm in Seattle. Tell everybody where you're calling in from this morning.
Buffalo, New York. In particular, a nice, quaint neighborhood called Cleve Hill or Cleveland Hill. And so just been here a few years. It's wonderful, very close to Lake Erie. And we get the seasons, but it seems like winter sticks around longer than any other season. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I know your story because you're a friend of mine, and I appreciate you joining me to share your story on the show with everybody else. But let's jump into it.
Sure.
Let's jump into your story before we get into some of the cool stuff that you're doing in the state of New York. So tell us a little bit about your story, Brian. Where'd you grow up, and how'd you end up in Buffalo?
Yeah, I was born in San Mateo, California, so in the Bay Area. Spent the first years of my life in Hillsborough, California. And just a very, as you know, San Francisco, growing up in the Bay Area, I have these very clear memories of being so young. My first memories My mom always thought it was strange because I remember my
Yeah.
diaper being changed. Some people said, "Oh, that's not true." I do. I
Yeah.
remember it. It's the strangest thing, but I do. I remember colors, very specific colors. Especially, we lived in this big time MCM house, mid century modern. And I remember the green carpet, the red, uh, What is it? The swag. What is it? Like
shag carpets.
carpet,
Yeah.
shag carpet.
Shag carpets of the 70s and 80s. Yeah.
Absolutely. In this beautiful Eichler home that we lived in. And but more than anything, I remember being on the San Francisco Bay and looking out as a kid. And I remember these beautiful colors of blue and the seagulls and, that beautiful red orange of the Bay Bridge of the San Francisco Bridge, the Golden Gate. And those were my biggest memories. And, but that's where I grew up for the first 6 years of my life. And, my parents got divorced. They dealt with their own addiction and alcoholism issues, and it just didn't work out. And I'm not going to dive too deeply into that, but that was part of the deal.
Sure.
And then when I was about 6.5, 7, we moved to Petersburg, Virginia. So definite culture shock. Went from
other side of the country. Yeah, that's a big move. That's a big move for a little kid.
It was, and so it was went from a very open environment, very welcoming. To Petersburg, Virginia, the heart. Well, one of the areas where it was very much the heart of the Confederacy way back in the
South.
day.
Yeah.
So that was a strange transition, and I was. My dad went his way, and then my mom raised myself and my sister, and along with my grandmother. But I can definitely say that. In Petersburg, Virginia, I was raised by my sister, who was older, my grandmother, and my mom. And it was an interesting environment because most of my friends, they had their parents, and I just had these 3 ladies that were raising me up. So I got to learn early on, which I think was a benefit. At first, I didn't think it was because I thought I needed to, I wanted to be this man growing up. And,
sure.
But I learned everything I knew from my grandmother, my sister, and my mother. And it was just a really interesting trifecta that they had of taking care of me. And I didn't realize it till later on, but it has, and I'll follow back on this later, but it has definitely influenced the man that I am today and the father that I am today and the husband that I am today.
Sure. No doubt. Yeah. So you're 7, 8, 9 years old, being raised by 3 women in the South.
In the South.
So what was life growing up for you like? How were you in school? What were as you're moving into middle school, high school? You stayed in that Virginia area through high school, right? Yeah.
Through high school, I stayed in Petersburg, Virginia, and I made my friends. I struggled in school, diagnosed with ADD, ADHD. They tried to give me Ritalin. I didn't want to take it because one of my friends told me, it made him not want to eat, and I like to eat a lot of food.
Yeah.
So I refused to take it. And so I didn't realize this. My mom let me advocate for myself at a very young age, which also becomes part of my story later on. We were with the doctor, and the doctor said, "Your son needs to take Ritalin and these other medications." And my mom looked right at me and said, "Do you want to do this?" And I said, "No." So then, of course, I was bouncing around in the classroom for the next so many years, found my grip around my 10th grade year. And then went from like straight C's and D's and F's to straight A's, somehow turned it around, became basketball captain, straight A's, winning all these awards. I'm not boasting. I just couldn't believe it because I just was able to start to focus. And then I was prom king. I was homecoming king. And it all came together. And I was like, wow, I can really do something with my life. And, but then just to put this in, because it's part of my story, is that in my late teens, something started to not feel right within. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was missing.
Sure.
My dad wasn't necessarily in my life, but I still have my mom and my sister and my grandmother. But something didn't feel right. And I didn't know
Yeah.
what it was. When all
Yeah.
my friends were having fun and laughing, I was doing that too, but also I was alone often, feeling lost, isolated, more depressed, the beginning stages of really bad anxiety,
Yeah.
trying to get a grasp on it. And that's what kind of, that was sort of my transition out of high school, out of Petersburg, Virginia, was I started to move around a lot, trying to find my place in life. And I didn't know where I was supposed to be. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. All I know was
Yeah.
that I was carrying around severe anxiety. I was very depressed off and on, some great moments in between. But that became a part of my story. So that
Yeah.
was sort of my
I can
transition out of high school.
so relate to that.
Yes.
That's very, very similar. High school years is when everything you just said, I was like, oh yeah, I know what that feels like. That everybody else seems to be getting it and having a good time, and while you might be laughing and trying to fit in on the inside, you're just like, this, I don't know what's going on here, and I don't belong here. I definitely relate to that discomfort. That discomfort's the nicest thing I can say about it.
Yeah,
So,
this discomfort, and there was a lot of shame behind it, and I didn't.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I addressed this later on, but
yeah,
I didn't know what to make of it. I felt deep shame because I felt so poorly about myself.
yeah.
Even though
Something's
people
wrong
would
with me.
say often to me, "Oh, you're a 6'4", good-looking white dude walking around. You should be. You got everything laid out at your feet." And I
Yeah,
was like, "Yeah, I understand that you're saying that, but I don't feel that way about myself one bit."
yeah,
And I never did.
yeah,
And even up to this day, it's still taken me a while to get a grip and go, oh, you know what? I do have some really great qualities and gifts, and I have to keep that old way of thinking at bay.
sure.
And that
Yep.
that can be quite difficult, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah. So you make it through high school, it sounds like,
mhm.
and you're starting to, have this
Yeah.
emotional
Yeah, I am.
difficulty and
Yeah.
challenges. So what's next? I don't know. Do you know?
I did a lot of geographics. I moved around. I went to go find my dad out in Texas, try to
Okay.
live with him, try to
Yeah.
reconnect with him, and that was tough. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
We had some good moments again. He took me fishing a lot. My dad was a big fisherman. My dad was a doctor, and originally, ran the ER in San Mateo General. But then he started running some clinics in Austin, Texas. They were called ProMed, and he was the doctor there. And so I was really proud of him for that, and just trying to build that relationship with him. But one of the greatest things that he gave me, despite his issues,
Yeah.
was fishing. And
Yeah.
he would take me out on the Pacific. We would sail down into Mexico for 2 weeks and fish. And once again, I'm brought back to that aspect of the ocean, of the seagulls, of the fish, of the blue turquoise waters, the different hues. And so I started to really internalize that. I was like, wow, and there's all this beauty around me, yet I still feel lost. I still feel like something's wrong, but I held on to these deep colors.
Yeah.
And much of my memory is just like, even though, so yeah, I in my memory throughout my life, there are a lot of feelings, there are a lot of emotions, but there's primarily these deep colors. And as you know, it's a part of my story.
Yeah.
And it came with me. But so a lot of geographics, moved around, relationships didn't work out. I didn't know what to do. And I'll mention this briefly. I started drinking very heavily to try to cope with what
Sure.
was going on,
Sure.
to try to mask the symptoms. That did not work anymore. I drank from my teens through till I was 25.
Yeah.
And I went to rehab. I went to rehab.
Yeah.
I got the help I needed. I got sober. But it was still tough, still anxiety
Sure.
and depression. I didn't realize that
sober doesn't make everything magically better, but it
Yeah.
does start you on a road to getting better.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. I thought that, getting sober could solve it. And then the other thing I'll just bring up, I inherited just a little bit of money. And someone said, now you have your money, you're sober, you're going to be fine. That didn't fix anything.
Yeah.
I had to really look and what was going on between this heart-mind connection. Something was cut off still.
Yeah.
And of course, I sought therapy, I sought doctors, I sought medication. But all my geographics, trying to figure out where I was supposed to be, took me to California.
Yeah.
Because and one thing I didn't mention earlier was that I went to college at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I was a theater performance major. Thought I was going to be a big stage actor. I thought all these things were going to happen. That seemed to sort of get me through some of the anxiety and depression, even though it was still there. And but my drinking and using caused me to get kicked out of school. And they told me, "Don't come back. It's time for you to go.
Yeah,
you did some good work, but you need to go."
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay,
you are not welcome here." Yeah.
Yes. So I got, went to rehab, got sober, went out to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And
can
go
I
ahead.
can I just for audience members, because you've said this term a few times, and just make sure people when you say geographics, that for in recovery circles, that's something that someone does when they're using a move, whether it's moving to a different job or moving to a different relationship, or more in the term of geographic, moving to another place, like moving to another city or state or whatever. Thinking while you're in the midst of your disease, your alcoholism or your addiction, that, well, if I just move to this other city, I get to start over and everything's going to be fine. But when you're not well and you go somewhere else, the not well you shows up at that other place. So geographics is a term often used in recovery for when someone moves somewhere thinking it's just going to be better, and then it's not. So I want to be, because you're not better yet, but that's just so for the audience understands that terminology is kind of part of recovery circles. And I did my fair share of geographics as well before I got sober also. So
thank you for the
I'm very familiar with that methodology of, it'll be better if I move there. And it turns out it's not so better. So anyway, sorry to interrupt your story. I just want to make sure the audience understood what that term was. So so you ended up sober, healthier, but maybe not completely in a good mental health state yet, if I'm following your story right. So you end up in Los Angeles sober, and let you pick up your story there. Sorry for the interruption.
No, it's fine. And thank you for the clarification. I right before I got to LA, I decided to move to the desert.
Yeah.
So I lived in Death Valley and got a job as a bartender. So that makes a lot of sense, right? You get a job. So as Steve, you did so great describing the geographic, audience, I decided to take myself and my pain and move it to the middle of the desert, newly sober, and work as a bartender alone. And there was one recovery meeting a week that was like 60 miles away. So, I was like, what am I doing?
Maybe not the best advice for newly sober people.
I made it through somehow, some way. And
awesome.
In this time, I started to develop a relationship. I met this lovely lady that worked out in the desert. And unfortunately, part of my story, she ended up dying in a drunk driving accident. And just another lesson I had to learn throughout all this was that, I seem to have been attracting people to me that felt the way I felt. That I'm not saying she was bad or I was bad, but
no,
it's what you attract. And
Yeah.
So I picked it all up that day and got my stuff together and got to Los Angeles after that incident happened. So I took more baggage with me to Los Angeles. But I found a home in Los Angeles. I think I was out there for almost 8 years, 9 years, and found a great recovery network. And once again, amidst all the auditions and working in interviews, I mainly worked as a waiter in Los Angeles, trying to make it as an actor. But mental health wise, I was struggling so bad still, like I said, I made some great connections. I met some wonderful people that I'm still in touch with to this day. And I just started to really struggle again, where I just couldn't show up for events. I couldn't show up to work. I couldn't show up to just to meet friends for simple outings. And
Yeah.
people thought at first, they're like, why are you avoiding us? Why are you standing us up? And I said, that's not my intention. I said, I'm scared to leave the house. I was scared to leave the house. I didn't go out of my house for months. I would go out to go get something to eat, or someone would bring me something. I have very clear memories of my friend Erin. She brought me, she was one of my ex-roommates. She brought me some food one day. And I just remember, and I apologize for this later, but she knocked on the door and she said, hey, are you okay? And I just took the food. I said, I'm sorry, I can't talk. And I shut the door. I kind of say it was my Elvis moment where I put the foil on the windows and closed myself off to the world.
Yeah.
And it's strange. I'm living in this beautiful place. There's palm trees around my apartment complex. There's a pool in the middle, yet I see nothing but darkness. And that was strange for me. And what I did was people started to reach out. Thank God I had some people that were just starting to say, hey, what's wrong? Can we help you? I didn't realize that those were lifelines. Those were connections.
Yeah.
At first, all I heard was a voice saying, hey, do you want help? I was like, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. And one person in particular turned me on to, he had this really good hypnotherapist that worked on a sliding scale that took my little bit of money that I had.
Yeah.
And this guy was a lifesaver. And I had no idea that hypnotherapy could work. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it was for me.
Yeah.
And it opened up a new door. That led to therapy. That led to the doctors that I needed, the help that I needed. And through that hypnotherapist, and just to let you all know, audience, I started painting when I was in college. It's not what I went to school for, but I started painting to make Christmas gifts for family members. I loved art, particularly abstract art. And I started to really resonate with it. That was one of the things that would start to populate my story was I would go to art museums. So I'd be feeling miserable, hating my life, hating everything around me. But a museum, the way everything was structured, it was set up, it was neat, it made sense. I could go get tucked into a painting. I say tucked in because I felt like I was being held by a painting, by the artwork.
Yeah.
So I really started to paint. And it really started to take form in Los Angeles because I didn't realize it at the time, but I do now. It was a coping mechanism.
Sure.
It was
your own kind of self-therapy.
Mechanism.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that it was actually activating parts of my brain to help me heal. And, I'm sure you've seen some of the research. Anyone can do the research. Been studies across the world for a long time showing that artwork, creating art, no matter what kind, was it music, writing, anything, even coloring, even jotting down something with a pencil, can facilitate new pathways in your brain to create healing.
Yeah.
And so this is what happened for me in my apartment in Los Angeles. My studio apartment in Los Angeles turned into a full-time art studio.
Yeah.
And if you walked in there, the walls were painted all different colors. The shower curtain was a painting. The door to the bathroom was a painting. The curtain covering the window was a painting. Everything was. And people were just like, oh my God. I can't believe I got my security deposit back when I left there. I can't believe it. Yeah. But I started to support
you left
myself.
it better than you found it, I'm sure.
Yeah. It was gorgeous. It was like this little museum. And I had these I had like 3 little birds. Some people might think it's weird, but I had 3 birds and I loved them. And they were like part of my art studio. And I started supporting half of my income through art. I found some really good buyers out in Los Angeles. I'm creating abstract work, large and small, making a lot of mistakes, but figuring it out. I used to strap. I remember one of my best memories is my red Honda. I'm going to bring color into it again. My beautiful red Honda that got me through so much. I would strap these large 5 foot by 5 foot pieces to the top of the Honda with string, with twine, and drive them to a client's house. and so that was my life in LA until, and I was sober during this time. I never relapsed or anything. But something was still missing. LA wasn't working for anymore. It just didn't seem sustainable for me. It didn't seem like it made sense. And I think this is common. What in the arc of these the hero's journey or whatever. I'm not saying I'm a hero, but
You are the hero of your own story.
Yeah, that's right.
100% you are.
That's right. I went back home. I went back to Virginia.
Yeah.
I stopped in Texas to see my mom and see my stepdad, and that's how I met you.
Yeah.
And so that was nice. That was along the way, and I'm so grateful for that because it gave me the gift of you and the gift of meeting your wife and other wonderful individuals that have helped me on my journey. But I went back home to Virginia, and it was such a strange thing because I was like, I could never go back there because I got kicked out of school. I made so many bad choices. I had so much shame.
Sure.
But it was like this redemption. I went back to Virginia and I made amends. I would just that's more of a recovery term, but I said I was sorry to individuals that I did some pretty bad things to.
Yeah, you're trying to make things right from the mistakes of the past. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And one of my friends was willing to give me a job as a manager for one of his construction companies. I don't know how that happened. I have no experience in that.
Yeah.
I dug ditches as a kid and drank a lot on my friend's dad's construction job, but I never really did any construction.
Yeah.
But what was really nice during this time was that my mentors from undergrad at Virginia Commonwealth University in the School of Theater, they were starting to teach. They developed a course called Winning Presentations in the School of Business at Virginia Commonwealth University, and they told me about it. And they said, hey, do you want to come teach this course? We remember you from undergrad. We know that you had your issues, but we think that you can make a real difference. And by this time, I had actually, around this time, I had finished my undergrad degree finally, a decade later or more.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, this will be great. And the person that introduced me to my class was the person who was in charge. And she worked under my mentors. And this was my wife, now wife, Marissa Guida.
Oh, wow. I don't think I knew that part of your story.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of this. That's why I've just kind of been listening. I was like, oh, I knew that. And I didn't know that that's how y'all met.
Yeah, we met because of our mentors. I mean, there was an online connection through Tinder, but also because
that's awesome.
My wife reached out to my mentor and was like, hey, do you know this guy? And he's like, yeah, I know him. I haven't dated him, but yeah, I know him. Yeah. He's a good guy. So throughout this incredible fate, or whatever you want to call it, I not only found my purpose in teaching, in training and educating, but also I found my wife.
Yeah.
And I remember she guided me through my first public speaking class that I was teaching at Virginia Commonwealth University called Winning Presentations. And it's incredible. I picked it up. I started teaching for the next 7 years. I loved it. Married Marissa. We had our child. I mean, so what I love about the story is that it was this wonderful redemption because I started teaching at the university that I was kicked out of.
Yeah, I think that's so brilliant and beautiful and really, for those of us in recovery circles, these types of redemption stories are not uncommon. I mean, and that's the beauty and the strength of getting sober or getting clean or whatever your issue may be, and having this opportunity to live a new life, a healthy life, a beautiful life, and these redemptive arcs are so inspiring to me personally, and I'm sure to the folks listening or watching that they may be as inspired as I am by that redemptive arc of like, you got to go, you can't be here, and then years later, like, oh, we want you to teach the young kids here, the students, the undergrads. So what a great story for what good health can look like, mental health and sobriety can look like. Love that journey. Love that lovely story.
And thank you for acknowledging that, because what happened, what was so remarkable was that as I started teaching, I have a lot of charisma. I'm not saying I always have the right words or the right grammar, whatever it is, but I definitely was able to connect with the emotions. And this is a
Yeah.
big part of my story, connecting with deep emotions of my students because I could see when they were struggling.
Yeah.
So there was, instead of saying, why aren't you getting your work done? I would say, what's going on? How
Yeah.
can I help you?
You've
And
been there. You know
I've
what
been there.
struggle and pain looks like. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I was able to work with them and establish these wonderful, deep connections and relationships. And it became one of the most popular classes in the School of VCU over in the School of Business. And for a little bit, about 6 months, I was the #1 rated professor on Rate My Professor. Okay. Like, it was wild. And I just was, I was very happy with that because I was like, wow, I get kicked out of the school. Then I become the #1 rated professor on Rate My Professor in the entire Virginia Commonwealth University. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So what I did was my wife encouraged me to go ahead and get my Master of Fine Arts because she said, you get this and then you can more than likely, you have this terminal degree and you can go into and probably, teach and really secure a position, a full-time position at VCU. And I was excited about that. And I got my MFA in theater pedagogy with a focus, and that's the art of teaching theater, but also it was mainly, but there was a focus in public speaking and interpersonal communications. And they developed it specifically for me. And I was able to utilize it, not so much to teach theater, but in a way, public speaking is performance. It is theater.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
As you know, because you've been around the world and you've not only were a speaker, but you've seen speakers.
Yeah.
And we admire some of the same speakers, especially, I admire Brene Brown. I was watching one of her Atlas of the Heart last night. I've just started that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And just that interaction with the audience, tuning into the emotions, looking at them in the eye, talking to them. And that's what I aim to do. And that's what I did with my students. And it worked really well. And however,
life happens.
Life happens. And my wife, she wanted to come back here to Buffalo to take care of her grandparents who were in their 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, well, I moved around so much before, let's move again.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I left out. I'm going, like, my story's going all over the place. I hope this isn't throwing off the audience too much. But
no, you're fine.
When I was, before I got to Virginia, I have to jump back real quick. I'm so sorry. I moved to Vermont. So I went from Los Angeles to Vermont because I heard that Vermont, you could find peace of mind and mental health. So
that's a good state slogan.
Yes, peace of mind and mental health. And I went to Vermont. I moved into this country cottage in Essex Junction near the Winooski River in one of the Winooski Bay over there off of Lake Champlain. It was picturesque, beautiful.
Yeah.
And the mental health started to clear up. It was like, wow, this is amazing. I feel so much better. So the environment did it. But I got a job working at the Howard Center, which is it's a mental health outreach organization. They do everything from crisis support to housing, to helping individuals that are just struggling with whatever, whether it's mental health, is it addiction, alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I got a job working as a residential counselor at a place called MyPad. So there was a group of men who were living in their apartments, and they dealt with their whatever issue they had or struggle they had. And I saw them coming out of their apartments every day. We would give them their medication, take notes, and they would go on about their lives. And I was like, wow, I wonder what we could add to this. And I was at a retreat for work at the Howard Center, and they said, if there's one thing that you could develop that would really add to what we do here, what would it be? And I said, because I knew how my painting helped me in my mental health, I said, I want to start a mental health arts collective.
Yeah.
Make a long story short, that turned into the Howard Center Mental Health Arts Collective for Burlington, Vermont. And we went in and we started putting artwork up at local. It started with the library for free. Then it went into really nice galleries. And when I left Vermont, I had to hand it off, but it's still strong to this day. So
That's
they're doing
awesome.
incredible work. I encourage people to look at that. It's like the Howard Center Arts Collective. It's just really lovely, and it's strong to this day. And it's a great example of something that I started with a thought, and these little thoughts can change the world. And this has changed the world. It's changed thousands of people's lives for the better.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that in because it leads to my story. So here I am in Virginia.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching. I'm married, have a child. And I tell my wife, I'm like, I want to start another arts collective. And so I start one in my hometown of Petersburg, Virginia. There is a mental health organization called District 19. It does, peer services, crisis support, housing support, addiction, alcoholism, the whole deal, mental health services. So we started a mental health arts collective there, and it lasted for a while. It was very strong. We had some great openings. We had some great shows.
Yeah.
But once again, I had to hand it off when I left, because so my wife says, let's go to Buffalo. I want to take care of the grandparents. I'm like, yes, let's move. I want it. I love Lake Erie because there's great fishing.
Yeah.
Great colors, beautiful hues of Lake Erie. Can sometimes there's parts of Lake Erie that almost look like the tropics.
Yeah.
I'm not saying so much the land side. It's more like the water side.
Yeah.
The
when
water,
you get
those hues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we come here to Buffalo. I love it. And our first year of being here, we get to move to Eagle Bay in Angola, New York. We live on the shore of Lake Erie. Just absolutely stunning, gorgeous. And there are, we go through this incredible winter. We get like 6-7 feet of snow outside. And I'm loving every second of it.
Yeah.
And I get a job working at a mental health organization. And I begin to get that feeling in me again that I want to start another arts collective.
Yeah.
And, and now I'm actually working my dream job. And this kind of brings it full circle in a way. I'm the director of statewide services, or the director of statewide training at the Mental Health Empowerment Project. I work remotely out of my home in Buffalo, but I travel to Albany often. That's where they're based.
Yeah.
And once again, just they support individuals mainly through peer support, but just helping you find your voice, your unique gifts to deal with your struggle, whatever that may be, that mental health struggle, and being able to find pathways to reinvent yourself and take on life. And they've given me the funding, the means to start an arts collective here in Buffalo, starting in the fall of 2025.
Nice.
So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, here I am.
Yeah. So, tell me a bit more about the organization that you're working for right now, and help me and help the audience understand what peer support is. I mean, I'm familiar with that term. My wife is also working in the mental health field, and here in the Seattle area, she has been working. She's moving on and finishing her master's, and is going to go on to full on being a therapist. But she's been working in the field of substance use disorder and counseling, and she's licensed in that, but there are peer supporters here that work in the organization where she used to work, and they are, at least how I understand it here, they don't necessarily have the same full level of education or full on state license or anything, but they've had some degree of training, but they have lived experience. They have life experience dealing with alcoholism or drug addiction or whatever the mental health diagnosis may be. And with their lived experience and the bit of training that they get, they then help others who are still struggling under the direction and under the leadership of those who may have, more education and more state granted licenses and things of that nature. Is peer support the same in New York as it is here in Washington? Excuse me.
Yeah, there are a lot of parallels. There might be some differences. I do believe it. I haven't done a lot of research on Washington State, but I believe there are resources for the community. New York is really, it's nice because we are a resource state. They find a lot of resources for individuals that are struggling, and it's not frowned upon if you're going through a hard time. And peer support, what I've learned about it. So Mental Health Empowerment Project, it's a peer-run organization. Everyone that works there has lived experience. We might have some accountants, some board members that don't, but but primarily everyone there has lived experience. So you utilize your lived experience to go ahead and help provide mutual support. It's really mutual support. Yeah, you don't have to have a PhD, doctorate, like you don't have to have a master's or anything.
Right.
You can just sit down with another individual and be there with them. And I mean, it sounds kind of easier said than done, but it's not. It's not like you're just sitting there. You're actually absorbing what they're going through. They're absorbing what you're going through.
Sure.
And you support each other. You can sit with it. You don't.
Yeah, that's a skill.
You don't necessarily offer advice, but if it's asked for it, you can provide it.
Yeah.
So that is really that's the essence of it. And which a lot of people like, because we deal with a lot of individuals who are psychiatric survivors, meaning they've gone through some really bad institutions, some really bad doctors, some really bad meds, and nothing really worked. But they found this magical connection by sitting with a group of community members that are like-minded, or with one person that's able to see them for who they really are, not judge them, not tell them what to do, but be there with them to help support them through a process.
Right.
And that's what I've learned. One of my first experiences of working in peer support was with a gentleman who was struggling here in Buffalo, and I was able to sit there with him and help him. We were able to support him, and we were able to find his strong suits. And, is his life perfect? No, but he's living a better life today because we were able to focus on what was working and not what was wrong with him.
Right.
And it's really, and this is often said in the peer support world, it's you don't say what's wrong with you. You say, what happened to you?
Yeah.
What happened?
That's a big difference. That is a giant change of perspective on how you approach someone. I love that. Yeah. That's a great way to engage with someone as a human being.
Yes.
And not in a judgmental way, and then listen to what their story is, what their answer is to that question.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And it leads to a lot of the trainings that we do today.
Yeah.
And one of the trainings I'm doing tomorrow is the emotions behind public speaking. Because in public speaking, there's a lot of advocacy, self-advocacy, and also being there to help advocate for other individuals that are struggling. And which I've done myself. I've been able to advocate for individuals who couldn't get the right grab bars up in their showers, even though they were in HUD housing and that was supposed to be provided for. And the apartment complex said, no, we're not doing that. And I said, well, yes, you actually are. Yeah. So able to just uplift their voice. So it's not just them alone. They're doing it together as a team with other individuals. And, it takes a village. It really does. It takes a community. There's a lot of change that still needs to happen, but I've seen a lot of headway. And so in my position with the training team, we develop cutting edge presentations, trainings, and workshops in person and virtually to give people tools. I don't even consider myself a trainer necessarily. I'm more of someone who is a facilitator of dreams. I'm a facilitator of hope. And people latch on to that. So that's really what we do. And the coolest thing, Steve, right now that we have done is we just recently led our third cohort of a training in one of the counties here in New York State for justice-involved individuals who are still in the system. Mm-hmm. And we've led a training on peer support for them for about 2.5, 3 weeks, where they can take these tools when they are released to change their lives and also help support and change the lives of individuals that they work with. So once again, no one has to have an MFA, a doctorate, any kind of degree. And I found this in higher ed as well. I always found that the best people I met weren't the ones with the CV that was 20 miles long.
With the most initials after their name, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was really about connecting with another human being.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to let other people see.
Yeah.
And I say let other people see. I'm not going to make them see, because I don't want to tell them what to do. It's very much self-directed, finding your own personal strength, your own
Yeah.
empowering yourself, not me empowering you. I can put some tools out there, but if you have to take the tools, you have to do it. I can't make you do it.
Yeah. You can't do it for anybody, right? And that's, you can't make anybody see anything that you want them to see. You can't, make them do what you want them to do. And the more you struggle and try at that, the worse that becomes. So just, I really appreciate the perspective of the organization, as you described it, that you're giving people tools and empowering them to use those tools and being there with them. It's, but not doing it for them, because necessarily you can't. But being there to be a support and an encouragement, and I like that idea. There's from personal experience in the recovery world, that idea of helping somebody else get sober. Can't do it for anybody else. I can't, I can't give them my sobriety, but I can share with them my experience. I can share with them what I've done, and the things that worked for me and the things that didn't work for me. And if they can pull some benefit from that, and sitting with them, and sitting with people in their worst moments, in their worst pain and their worst suffering, and not telling them that, we got to fix you, or you're, just being with someone when they're in their pain and in their suffering, and not abandoning them because it's difficult, but being there with them when it's hard, and encouraging them to keep, moving forward at whatever pace and whatever direction they choose, but to be there with them the rewards that come from that, at least me personally, is immense. That, giving that gift of grace to someone when they're in need, with no expectation of what are they going to do for me when I give them this, is just beautiful. And it sounds like you get to do that in your personal life, in your journey, and then you get to do that in your professional life. So that's sounds pretty amazing, my friend.
I never thought that would come to fruition. I remember thinking, I was like, I thought it was going to be teaching higher ed the rest of my life. I really did. But that was not the course. But I was able to find something now that I can utilize my artistic ability through the arts collective that will be starting, through the nonprofit I work for, Mental Health Empowerment Project, and also training across the state, but training in public speaking, training in peer support, training and just learning about the historical roots of the peer support movement, advocacy, enabling others to stand up for themselves and see those gifts within them that so I speak from my lived experience. I can freely share that in my job detail, and I'm encouraged to.
Yeah.
And so I had no idea. And one thing I've really noticed is that even sitting with these people, whether you're training them or one-on-one peer support, what is lovely is that they can feel you, usually more so in person, but, and I think I've told you about this before, or maybe you already know about it, but the Heart Math Institute talks about, and they have studies, but across the world, about that electromagnetism. People can feel it 3 to 6 feet out of your body.
Yeah.
This isn't, this isn't pseudoscience. This isn't play, pretend, make believe magic. This is real.
Yeah.
And they can feel you, and they can feel your energy. And so that's what I focus on. And often before a lot of my trainings, I have people do that heart math meditation where you just breathe. You think about these things that are a lot of love, a lot of light in your heart, and you bring that out to your audience. And I find that it really works. And that's what I utilize when I'm out there too. It's not just about speaking these words. It's about finding that heart behind the words. And this is a real thing. So I really stand by that as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole basis of the show, right? Is that it's emotions that move people to action. It's the stories we tell, and the stories we tell, the best stories, have very heartfelt, real emotional experiences associated with them. So it's not just the words, because you can say a bunch of words and not connect with anybody. I mean, you can give people cold, hard facts that are absolutely 100% true and not connect with them. But when you when you wrap up the correct words, the data and the facts, and bundle that up into a story that has an emotional charge to it, an emotional connection to it, that's when you can really connect with people, and that's when you can really help people move into action. So 100%. I mean, I love that you just shared that about the Heart Math Institute, and we do connect with people. And I would ask anybody in the audience to just think about a moment. Maybe you're experiencing it right now, hearing Bryant's story, but when when someone's speaking from their heart, that's kind of this metaphor. They're not really speaking from the heart, but we say that speaking from the heart because it's someone that's really speaking with their truth, and their emotion is connecting to you and your emotion and your truth, and that's why we use that language. We speak from the heart, because that's how we really connect with people, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to do. So, and it's you bring up Brene Brown. It takes getting to know yourself, your own personal journey, getting to feel comfortable with you are, and looking at that shame and learning how to release that from your own self. And that's how you can be able to get comfortable speaking with someone else and sitting with them when they're in their pain, because you don't have to own their pain, but you can recognize, oh man, this person's hurting, and I'm not going to push them away. I'm going to be here with them. And that's a journey you've been on, man, to get to that place.
Absolutely. And just to add quickly, I'm not saying my pain was worse than others or not as bad, but
sure,
I can tell you that my pain for me was so deep and so severe, and the shame I felt, whatever, past experiences, current experiences, stuff I went through, but it was so deep, and I can own that today. And I can know that I found pathways to heal. It's not always perfect. Stuff still creeps up. I still have really bad anxiety, more anxiety now than depression, but I still have it. It's still there, but it doesn't consume my life. And so that's what I'm able to pull from when I'm sitting with somebody else, when I'm training in this world of authentic mutual support in mental health and peer support. So that's what I pull from. And that's what's really given me a sense of purpose. And I do the same thing when it comes to the artwork. When I share that artwork, I'm able to let people know this was part of that experience. Today, I paint more so out of joy and of a discovery. But when you look back at the old work, there was a lot of pain there. And so I'm not an art therapist, but through the arts collectives, we're able to tell people to dive into that as well. I've even done art workshops online through the Mental Health Empowerment Project. So it encompasses so much. I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. Well, since you brought up art, and I wanted, first of all, it clicked for me when you were telling your story. I don't think in all the conversations we've had over the years I've ever heard this part of your story about how vivid color has always been a part of your life from your earliest memories. And when you said that, I was like, oh, well, no wonder this guy paints such amazing abstract paintings, and it's just so brilliantly vivid and beautiful, and this amazing kind of potpourri of color that you put into your paintings that it just sucks. Whenever I look at your painting, I'm just like, holy mackerel, these all your paintings are amazing to me, and now it makes sense and connects me. And my wife's a amazing painter as well, and she sees the world in colors that I don't see. And just as you described, and it's like, oh, that using whatever is genetically in you or experientially driven in you, this ability to see the world in this vivid colors, and the practiced talent that you've cultivated to create these amazing paintings. Talk just a little bit in the time we have left. I want to make sure that we give some time to the fact that you are also a painter. You're not just doing the art collective for the therapeutic value of the folks who are part of your organization or are served by your organization, but you also have recently taken the plunge to promote your own work and to kind of get back into the world of not painting just for your own therapeutic benefit, but to share your artwork with the world. And you sold some pieces recently. You got a website launched, and I think you said you're going to be in a show coming up. So talk a little bit about you as a professional painter as well, because that is certainly part of your story that I don't want the audience to miss out on.
Oh. Well, thank you for that opportunity. Yeah, so that's another one of those things. Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to just talk about me and what my accomplishments.
Yeah.
But as I've learned, it's okay to be proud of something we've done that serves the greater good.
Absolutely.
This is not one of my pieces behind me. This was in my wife's grandparents' basement. So it is not, actually, I think it was in their living room or their den. I don't remember. But so we just have this here, but this is not my work. My website is eaglebayarts.com. eaglebayarts.com. And we started this business, and it's based, Eagle Bay is where we lived when we first moved here to Buffalo. And it was just so beautiful with all the colors. And it brought me back to that sort of that fishing with my father, and all those memories. And so I just took it and turned it into something really good. So I decided with my wife that we were going to call it Eagle Bay Arts LLC. And we've started the business, and, I sold one of my first large paintings since I've been here. I've sold them at other places, but first large painting sold to a doctor out in California in the Bay Area, and about an hour and a half outside the Bay Area, but to a neonatal clinic. So he helps expectant mothers.
Yeah.
And he wanted a painting that really represented some of that emotion. And he found it on my website. And so they flew me out, and I got to introduce the painting at the opening of the clinic. It was an incredible experience. And, I'm currently working on new works. And yes, I have been, got accepted into a group show at a gallery here in Buffalo, but that's going to be happening at the end of the year. Actually, it's going to be a New Year's Eve opening, so I get to go, be a part of a group show. So I'm excited about that. But most of my information can be found on, eaglebayarts.com. That would have, all my artwork. I get online when I can to, like, Facebook and Instagram. You can usually find me under Bryant Pugh Arts. But I don't go on social media too much. It doesn't do a lot for me. But I know it's a tool to advertise, so I will get on there more.
Yeah.
But, almost while I'm sitting here, I almost want to tell you what the website, what the social media handles are. I don't know if I should, or maybe we could link them in the show notes or something.
I'll put them in the show notes. Sure thing.
Good.
And I'll link to your art website, your professional website where you work, and any social media channels that you want me to share. I'll be happy to put them on the show notes for everybody.
Very good.
But really want everybody to go to your website and check out your work, because I love your work. I eventually need to buy one myself. Got to find some space here in our little tiny apartment that doesn't have any art on it already. And
I know, because I remember Ashley had her big paintings too.
Yeah, so, we've got a few of hers, her big ones up here. So, but I love your work. I love how you see the world and how you express it in your abstract art. It's really beautiful. The one you just shared with me a few days ago that you just finished.
Oh yeah, can I talk about that real quick?
Describe that one, because I wanted to say the name of it too.
I'm going to tell you the name of it. So it is done. It's 5 foot by 5 foot, and it's called Super Bitch. But it's not saying someone's a super bitch. It's a homage to all the ladies in my life that have inspired me, that are super. And sometimes in this world, they can be called bitchy or bitches. But I think we need to turn that around and say, okay, you want to call someone a bitch, then let them be a super bitch that's taking on the world. And it is full of color, a lot of neons, almost some of the colors around. There's a lady, sort of a 1950s lady, reminds me of my grandmother a little bit. She's standing on a ladder. She has a saw and she has a hammer. And she's kind of looking over to the side because she's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take on the world. And she is holding on to these objects that there, you can really see the object at first. You can see her skin tone and skin color, but then it goes into bright neons and reds and blues, and it expands. And she almost looks like the what's the word I'm looking for? The Mother Mary figure with the light coming off of her. And so I wasn't necessarily going for that, but it started to, like the Immaculate. Yeah, I don't know I can't remember what she's called.
Yeah.
But, like Lady of Guadalupe or something. But the lights coming off through the neon colors and the yellows and the blues and the greens, and it's representative of the females in this world that have to struggle, that have to deal with misogyny, have to deal with the glass ceiling, are persecuted against just for standing up for themselves. And the reason why I really did that, it was a lot of that influence of my mother and my sister and my grandmother, who I've all seen, all three of them break through the ceiling, the glass ceiling, go through, do so much. And then it's a homage to my wife. It's a homage to, Ashley, to my daughter, to just, these are the incredible ladies of the world who've taught me so much and who continue to teach me so much. And that allow me to embrace the feminine side within me that I gladly and proudly represent and stand up for. Because without ladies, without my mom, I would not be here. Meaning, in order for me to be born, I came from a lady. Yeah. So some people forget that. They're like, I've always been here and I'm the best and I got this. I'm like, yeah, you came from somewhere.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's awesome. And it's going to be going up on the website this week. And I'm excited, hoping to get it, to at least get it displayed in a restaurant here. We're working on that, not to necessarily sell it to the restaurant, but to have a buyer come through and see it up on a wall, or if I'm lucky enough to sell it online. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful piece of work, like all your other work. But I when you shared it with me the other day, the importance of it was clear and understood, and I thank you for sharing that with everybody. And again, we'll encourage everybody to go check out your website and see it for themselves and see all your other work as well. So Brian, kind of want to transition here into your call to action. Thanks for sharing your story. I think it's a powerful story. I've had other guests on talk about mental health issues, and to me, anybody wondering, well, why is mental health being talked about on a story about sustainability? And I think for many reasons, one, we can't be taking care of the world and others around us if we're not taking care of ourselves. So self-care and self-compassion is incredibly important at this time, particularly in some of the hard times that we're going through. And there's climate anxiety and eco anxiety and political tension and worries and fears around that. The people who are advocating and on the front lines of all these different issues, like yourself, they need to also be taking care of themselves, so that they don't get burned out. Because we need people right now who are standing up and trying to help move the world in a healthier, more sustainable direction. So, personal health, mental health, physical health, all of this stuff matters in the world of sustainability, to move the world towards, more equity and justice, and making sure we're taking care of the planet so that we have a place to stay ourselves and that our children and grandchildren have a place to stay. So for me, mental health is got to be where it starts. So thank you for sharing your journey and just a demonstration that you are in your life of how someone can face those challenges and come out on the other side better for it, and then make the world a better place as a result. So with that though, what's your call to action? Hopefully folks have listened to this or watched this and they are feeling inspired to go do something. What do you want folks to do? How can they support your organization in New York, or your artwork, or just mental health issues in their own community or in themselves? What's your call to action for folks?
You don't need a degree to change someone's life. You can be in the worst state. You could have gone to hell and back. You can still be in hell. But you don't have to have a degree to say, hey, you know what? I've been there too. and I'm here for you. And that's what I've learned. And whether it's through creating art and sharing it, whether it's through peer support, mutual support, whether it's through recovery, or whether it's just if you're perfectly fine, you don't have any of these things going on in your life, and you work in a corporate environment or you work for some big organization, but something's wrong within you or someone else. I just say find someone that you trust, find a community of people that you can talk to about it. Because I found that holding this stuff in is what makes us bitter, is what makes us hate life. It's what makes us run away. And yeah, it does. It relates directly to, this podcast, because I think about, I just got to bring it up real quick, all the people that are suffering right now in Kerrville, Texas, after all the flooding.
Yeah.
There is a huge influx of people online that are offering mental health support because so many people need it. Peer support, mutual support. Let's talk about it. What are you going through?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about losing your home. It's about losing your entire identity in one flood.
Yeah.
And I know you've worked with a lot of this. And I was going to talk to you about this, but that'll be later. But your story, to end with this, and this is I have to bring it back to this. Stories sustain us, right? Because they do. Your story can change the trajectory of someone's life. And that's what I realized with my life. There are moments in my life where one person said something about their life and their experience, and they looked directly at me, and boom, I was like, wow, okay, I can make a change. And so that's really what I want. That's my call to action. Your story can change the trajectory of someone's life. And so whether you get it from, one person, an organization, a recovery group, it does not matter. Your choice. But talk about it, speak about it, share about it, and get it out. Because whether you know it or not, your worst moment can be a lightning bolt for someone else to go, wow, you went through that too. That means I can get through this. That's how I got through. And everyone else I know, that's how they got through.
Yeah. It
wasn't about holding it inside. It's your right if you want to hold it inside. But I say share it with the world. Art, therapy, whatever, support groups, whatever you want to do. That's my call to action.
Perfect. I love that, man. I appreciate it, Bryant.
Thank you.
Let's end on talking about some hope. I end every episode chatting with my guests about hope. And, we talk about hard things on this program. You just mentioned the awful flooding in Texas, and mental health challenges are real and they're hard. You've experienced them firsthand. I have as well. And so these are hard things. So hope is, for me, an important tool in moving forward in life. And hope isn't, we talked a lot about emotions today, but hope, for those who study it, it's not an emotion, it's a mindset. And hope is something that can be cultivated. Hope is defined as you have a vision for a better future. You have some plan of action, some steps you can take to move towards that vision, and you have a sense of agency, that there's something you can do about it. Might not be able to do it all by yourself, and I argue that you can't. You kind of need that community, like you were just talking about. But hope is generally those ideas of you have a vision, you have some direction, and you have a sense of agency. So I want to talk to you about your hope, Bryant. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and would encourage you just to kind of give your first heartfelt answer. Don't think too long about it, but want to learn a little bit about what your hopes for are the future. So first question for you is, what is your vision for a better future? It can be for you personally or professionally or for the world. Just what's your vision for a better future?
My vision for a better future is that individuals are not, it's so hard to, it's easier said than done. It's always easier said than done, but individuals are not shamed and looked down upon for going through a crisis, especially through a mental health crisis, or sharing who they really are. That people are not shamed for sharing who they really are and when they're really vulnerable. And so that's my vision for the future, that society is more open and allows the pain to be seen so people can heal. because what I find is so often people share their pain, their experience, and they're immediately torn apart online.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me the second question then. You started to go into it, but let's dig a little bit deeper. Why is that important to you that people can be authentically who they are without the fear of shame coming from others and being put down, that the society is open and we live in this world where people can be who they are and be supported? Why is that important?
I remember it's important because, I remember a news piece where there was a panel around the time of the election, and someone on the panel said, I really want to speak my truth here. And the gentleman stopped her and said, oh, you're going to speak your truth. I'm going to stop you right there because already I know this is woke. This is crap. And I remember going, oh my God, that's why people die. Because I had my best friend 3 years ago died because he could not come to terms with the fact in his masculinity, because he was taught he learned some toxic masculinity traits, that he could not be vulnerable. He could not speak it out loud and admit that he was in so much pain and suffering so much. So he held it in and he died. I'm not going to tell you how he died, but there's a lot concerning it. But yeah, that's what happened. So it's because it's important to me because it's life or death to be who you are. And it's life or death when you need to express what's going on, but sometimes you can't because society or someone tells you need to hold it in and pick your big boy pants and cowboy up. I think that's crap. That's toxic masculinity culture. I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. So that's why it's important to me, because we need to challenge those individuals that are telling us that it's not that you can't express what's going on, that you just need to get over it.
Beautiful. So last question for you, Bryant. We're going to bring emotion back into it. Imagine for a moment that the world that you envision, where people are more open, society is more open, people can express and be who they are and share their hardest feelings and share their highest joys without, the fear of being judged or shamed, that the society is healthier and more open to humans being humans.
Mm-hmm.
That's the world we're living in now. Your vision is true, and that's happening right now. That's where we are. How does that make you feel, that that's the world we're living in now?
It makes me feel like every day has a clear objective. Every day there's hope and there's a chance for those that are struggling, and they can be found. They can be found because they're not scared to speak up. Those that are struggling can be found. Those that don't want to say who they are, don't want to identify who they are, can actually be that in this environment. And they can be comforted. They can be empowered. They can be free to just be who they are. That's what that is. That what, did I answer that? I don't know if I answered that correctly.
I think you answered it lovely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Where they don't need permission to express themselves. And that's incredible. That's what it feels like, like, wow.
Yeah.
Man, this is incredible. We don't have to be persecuted for having problems, Here we go.
Love it. All right, my friend. Thank you so much, Bryant, for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your story. I love you, man. Got to get out to visit you one of these times, and out in Buffalo. Here. Not in the winter. You can keep those 7-foot snow drifts.
Yeah,
but maybe sometime in the spring or summer, or fall, Ashley and I can get out there and visit with you and your lovely family. So
yes, sir.
Give my best to your wife and your daughter and your mom out there, and just keep making the world a better place, man. You're a great friend and a miracle, and I'm grateful for everything that you're doing. So I'll leave you with the last word. What how do you want to end the show today?
With a laugh, with just being excited and just happy to be able to share my experience with the world. And if someone gets something out of it, if they don't, I just hope they heard something. So I just want, thank you for being this platform to express our views. And yeah, and it's sustainability has everything to do with the earth and our environment, but it also has everything to do with the heart and our minds and our souls, that whole deal. That's what I want to end with.
Love it. All right, man. Take care, Bryant.
All right, brother. Love you.
What a great conversation with my friend Bryant Pugh. Today we learned how his journey through trauma, addiction, anxiety, and depression led him to a life of service, empowering others through peer support, creating arts collectives to elevate voices with lived experience, and using his own passion for abstract painting as a way to heal and grow. Bryant reminded us that mental health challenges touch all of us in one way or another. He showed us how authentic connection, vulnerability, and self-expression can be powerful tools to heal, and how we each have the ability to help others by simply being present and compassionate. I was especially struck by Bryant's vision for a better future, a world where people can be authentic, share openly when they're hurting, and ask for help without fear of shaming or retribution. That's a message I really want to underscore because I believe normalizing conversations about mental health and human emotions is critical. This isn't just about mental health. It's about equity, inclusion, and belonging. People deserve to be safe to express their identity, who they are, and how they feel without fear of judgment. And this connects directly to the bigger picture. Mental health is explicitly recognized in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 3, which calls for promoting well-being for all at all ages. We simply cannot achieve a sustainable world unless we make space for people to be their full, authentic selves. Bryant also left us with an important call to action. Reach out for help if you're the one suffering. You do not have to do this alone. If you don't have a trusted person in your life to turn to, you can dial 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. This free and confidential support is available 24/7 anywhere in the United States and its territories. Since its launch in 2022, this lifeline has answered more than 13 million calls, texts, and chats for people in crisis. And if you are fortunate enough to be someone who's in a good place right now, I would ask that you reach out to someone else. Often when people are struggling, especially in a society that still stigmatizes mental health, they hide it. Take the time to check in with a friend, a neighbor, or a colleague. That simple act of kindness could open the door for them to seek the help they need. I also loved it when Bryant described himself as a facilitator of dreams and a facilitator of hope. That's something each of us can aspire to be, professionally and personally. When we take care of ourselves with self-compassion and good physical, mental, and emotional health habits, we're better able to be a source of hope and encouragement for others. And finally, I want to touch on Bryant's use of art as a tool for healing. He's used painting to express himself and process difficult emotions. For me, it's been writing. Poetry and journaling have been deeply meaningful ways for me to reflect and heal. However you do it, finding a form of self-expression can be life-changing. Just pick up a paintbrush or a pen or whatever artistic outlet you want to pursue. Make the world a bit more beautiful by making some art and making yourself feel better at the same time. And when you're done making some art today, please take a few minutes to check out Bryant's work. You can visit the Mental Health Empowerment Project's website at mhepinc.org. There you can learn more about the incredible work Bryant and his team are doing in the mental health field throughout the state of New York. And don't miss out on Bryant's artwork. You can check out Bryant's amazing artwork at eaglebayarts.com. His paintings are truly stunning, so go check it out. And again, I hope Bryant's story inspired you to take action in your own community. Maybe that means starting a conversation about mental health at your workplace or school, volunteering with a local arts program, or simply supporting someone you know who's struggling. These seemingly small acts can ripple outward, changing lives and changing the world. And please consider supporting this show so we can keep inspiring action through storytelling. You can visit the support page at storiessustainus.com. There you can learn how you can support the program, whether you like, share, or subscribe to the podcast, follow us on social media, leave a comment, or make a financial contribution. Every single action makes a difference. I'm sincerely grateful for the support you've given to this show so far. It's what keeps me going and helps me reach new audiences. And speaking of this show, I would also love for you to join me for the next episode, which will be released on August 19th. I'll be speaking with the incredible Majora Carter. Majora is a real estate developer, urban revitalization strategy consultant, MacArthur Fellow, Peabody Award-winning broadcaster, and a teacher at Princeton University. She's responsible for the creation of numerous economic developments, technology inclusion projects, green infrastructure developments and policies, and job training and placement systems. Incredible, incredible career. So you're not going to want to miss it. Be sure to catch the next episode of Stories Sustain Us on August 19th at storiessustainus.com, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on YouTube. Thank you so much for being here today and continuing to do your part to make the world a better place. Until next time, I'm Steven Schauer. Take care of yourself and each other. Take care.